Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is the day that I'm going to be reviewing my design that I collaborated with Divo Knives. This is the Fireball. This knife's going to drop on October 17th, 2024 on the Divo Knives site. This is a live drop, so it's not a pre-order. You order them, they ship them. The price on these is going to be $199. We did everything we could to get the price down and still give you a quality product. The OEM on this knife is Divo Knives, and in my opinion, Divo has leveled up in the last year. I mean, dramatically. There will be 3 different variations. You will have the black pearl camo carbon with the satin blade and the satin pivot collars on both sides. The tie, back strap, and mill tie pocket clips going to be black on this as well. Next variation is 80s camo carbon. This one also has a satin blade. The pivot collar on the 80s camo carbon, black and black. And the last variation, we have a black wash PVD blade and my favorite color, the electric blue camo carbon. We asked them to add more blue and they said not a problem whatsoever. So what's awesome about working with a US company for this material, look at that. That is some electric blue there. And then your pivot collars are going to be black on this one. I think that goes awesome. Now, as you can see on this knife, this side is clean. The back strap has nothing on this side and it's tapped for right-handed carry. Well, there will be some in each variation that will already have the lefty back strap installed to where it's already on the left side. For my lefties out there, it still is a right-handed liner lock though. That just makes it a left-handed carry knife. And if you're a lefty and all the assembled lefty models are sold out, we will have back straps for lefty carry and righty carry. If you need to buy that separately, say if you're a lefty and you want a righty as well, you can buy it, or I think Kevin said it best, if you happen to buy one on the secondary market and it's set up for righty carry or vice versa, you could go on the site if we still have some available and get yourself the opposite side. Being this is my daily carry and this is the one I tested, we're going to talk about this one from here on out. Your specs on this is coming in at 7.25 inches. It has a 3.15 inch blade of CPM S90V steel, Rockwell from 60 to 62. And they sent us some pictures of some test samples in the batch that came out to, I'm pretty sure, 61 HRC on the little picture. So we'll be testing this one in just a second. Your blade stock thickness is coming in at an 1/8 inch thick. You have a nice long row of effective grippy jimping. Oh, love it. You do have a sharpening choil that should give you some sharpening light before to widen. Now, if we do another run, that is something I will probably address, give you a little bit more by bringing this plunge grind all the way back right here so you can have all that room to sharpen. It looks like from where it thickens about right, it's hard to show, about right there. So you should have 3 to 4 sharpenings as long as you don't put a lot of pressure right here when you're sharpening. These have a beautiful deep hollow grind. You can see how it comes down right here. And that's a hand hollow grind. Looks very, very attractive if you like vertical grind lines. Nice top swedge. This is going to be a very versatile blade shape. That's how I designed it. And you can easily get the tip onto things. If you need to get real intricate, you should be able to do that very easily. And then you have enough gradual belly to that tip to where if you're in the pinch grip, you can get the entire edge, I wish I could show you this, the entire edge onto the cutting surface because you don't have a flipper tab or anything, and you can do your cuts on a flat cutting surface. We'll test all that out in just a second. This hollow grind comes down to around 14 thousandths behind the edge at the thinnest portion. And this particular sample is sharpened at 22 degrees per side. I think it's about that time. Well, I guess now's the moment of truth. Boy, I got my fingers crossed. I want it to do well, but if it doesn't, oh well, life goes on. And sometimes factory edges just aren't that great, except this one is outstanding. I'm not just saying that. You would know, and you can watch. Okay, this is my normal setup. I usually do a long piece and a shorter piece. I think I add 4 or 5 more of the long pieces and some, or I mix it up long and small. But I'm just gonna be honest, I'm trying to completely dull this knife so I can put a fresh edge on it whenever I get done with this. That hollow grind slicing very, very well. And the only time a hollow grind it could possibly struggle is when you have really dense cardboard, or some triple wall cardboard to where the sidewalls may collapse onto the flats. But that goes with everything. Every grind has its drawbacks. It's definitely blasting through this material. I'll try cutting every which way just to see if it struggles with any of it, and not at all, not even a second. Of course, I designed the belly of this knife to not have a bunch of belly, but I wanted it to be a gradual belly to the tip, so you don't find yourself sliding out of the material. I am choked up in that flat portion that we added, just so I can get right up to that edge. I can control my cuts, and so far so good. Couldn't be happier. I definitely have a big smile on my face right now. I'm smiling ear to ear, baby. So it looks like it may be great. I don't know, at least on this. I've done cardboard testing before, and then get to the sisal rope and the knife has no bite. Sometimes they over polish the edges, but I know Kubi does a lot of hand work. Like these hollow grinds are done by hand because they just started doing it, so they don't have a machine that does it. And if I had to take a guess, they're definitely sharpening them by hand. Now, whether they're doing it on a belt or not, I don't know. Now, if this edge kind of falls off after I get done with this, I'll have a good idea that it's probably sharpened on a belt, because it is S90V. Now we're testing the ergos. And look how fast. I'm trying to not let it bite that hard. I had to really lighten it up to not get it to bite and want to bite deep into the wood. Start increasing pressure, and I can already feel the way that back strap is. My hand's not falling in there, so it gives it more of a solid purchase. So it was as comfortable as flat scales could possibly be. That's about all you can ask for whenever it's not contoured. Maybe on the next one, maybe if I do a premium one, we'll do contoured scales. But this is where I really am grinning ear to ear, because it has a ton of bite. I think the edge bevel on this one, I think is 22 degrees per side, if I remember correctly. And this is something that this knife's truly going to shine. You can see you have enough belly to easily make these cuts on a flat cutting surface. And you can see me using that forward grip. My finger is landing on the front, the end portion of that jimping, and it's doing a great job. And this was another area. It was doing so well that, of course, I had to add another piece of rope, because like I said earlier, I am trying to completely dull the knife out, and I want to be able to put my own edge on it. I'll probably drop the edge angle to, I'd say probably 18 degrees when I get done with this. But yeah, it is doing very, very well. And I promise I'm not just saying this because my goal, I was so nervous because I want my knives that go into other people's hands. I want them to be able to perform, because that is what my channel is about. I love a knife that can perform, and I want it to perform well. So being this is a factory edge, I'm pretty impressed. You'll see pop up on the screen whenever I go to the next piece, and I did happen to have a piece. It wasn't a full piece, but there it is right there. I had it sitting on the side. It was left over from another knife that I tested before this that couldn't make it through the whole piece I cut. And this knife did better than all 5 knives I tested before this. And one of those knives I tested was also an S90V. They said that they showed us the Rockwell on one of the sample pieces, and I think it was 61 HRC, and I am definitely happy with that. When you have 300 or however many we did, 350 knives, then it's harder to hit a mass number. Like when you have a mass amount, it's harder to hit those higher numbers. So if it's at 61, I'm a-okay with it. Now I don't know that for certain, but I will say this factory edge is wowing me, to say the least. We get through 275 cuts before I ran out of the second piece, and I could have done more. I do have some more of the testing to do, so I figured I would just leave it. So Excellent job, Kobe. And this is where it's going to shine too. You got a needle-like tip there. Great for doing the drag cuts. And it's going to be a little scalpel up there in the front because it's nice and thin. And you can see I'm still using that pointer finger grip because it's still nice and sharp. Nothing gave it trouble at all. Now, if you had a longer piece like this of the dense cardboard, it may collapse on the side walls after it gets to the full thickness, but it didn't cause any problems, that small piece. So blasted through the 10-ounce denim. Then my wife asked me, she said, hey, could you cut up this celery for me? So I said, why not? Let's see what it can do. I've had people ask me to do food all the time. And this is after I've cut and everything, so the edge is definitely not crisp anymore. But of course, it shouldn't give it a problem. The geometry alone should be able to cut this stuff fairly well. And it does still feel like it has an edge. It has probably a working edge left on it. And I would expect it to if, you know, it's heat treated properly. So, yeah, couldn't be happier. Kubi killed it. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit longer than normal, but I had to, it being as my knife, I had to put it through its paces and let y'all see what it can do because I don't want y'all to take my word on it. Well, I couldn't be happier as the designer of how this one performed. I thought it performed phenomenally, and it's going to make me sleep better at night knowing that y'all are going to have a good performing knife if you choose to buy this. Now we're going to the deployment and the action, and you can see how I designed this thumb hole. I did it for a reason. If it would just be a plain oval, whenever you go to catch your finger right here, it doesn't have the best purchase. Well, being that it comes up like that at a diamond, see how my fingernail catches right there? I mean, it makes it to where I don't have to think, especially doing it like this. Your thumb falls into that flat spot and makes it very, very easy to deploy the knife. It's riding on ceramic bearings with a ceramic detent ball. Mine is broken in very, very nicely, being that this is the one I've been carrying. If you want, you can slow roll it as well, because you do have that larger hole, so it makes it easier to break the detent. Instead of going up here to get that hard break, you can come down here and get that slow roll very easily. You could also grab it and do the drop down like that if you'd like. Now we're going to take a look at the handle area. You got a nice chamfer. You can see that going all the way around, even into the tie back strap. You got that gorgeous pivot that Colin designed. And then you have the pivot collar. You can see the difference in the pivot collar right there. That's the actual pivot collar. He's amazing. It was great working with Kevin and Colin. Super awesome guys. So like I said, this one's the 80s camo carbon. And then we have the small diamond pattern on the sides of the back strap. And as you can see, it wraps around the back side. And we put the keyholes. It's the same hole as the blade hole. The thing I like most about this back strap is whenever I'm doing the testing, if you look at a normal knife, say like this, that is open like this portion right here, whenever you're really bearing down, doing those harder cuts, you'll get a line right here because the fat of your hand is going to be pushed in there. That takes it away, and it just makes it a little bit different. Something we saw We Knives do, and I think it adds a little bit extra flair to a knife just so you could try to be different, because boy, is it hard to come up with a different looking design. Colin designed this beautiful mill tie pocket clip, and this particular version is set up for righty carry. And if you see, you have no pocketing on this side. For the lefty carry, it's a completely different back strap. All your hardware on the outside is Torx T8. And why don't we do a quick disassembly and check out the inside. Sorry, I had to do a voiceover because my kids and my wife, they were making a lot of noise. So using a T8 driver, and you got to take apart the pretty much the entire back strap and the pocket clip, because you got to pull that back strap off in order to get it off. And that's all Torx T8 so far. And everything's coming off. It is a little tight because it's sucking that carbon fiber material flush. You want it to be nice and flush. And now we can get that back strap off. So that's what it looks like on the inside. There's a little shelf on both sides of that the back strap slides onto. Those are two T6, unfortunately. It's the first time I've taken one of these apart. And, you know, if we do a second run, that is something I may try to address. Had no issues with them, but, you know, So that's the inside, and you can see it's a fully functioning. It's got steel liners, so that's why it's so solid. I'm guessing that's why it has absolutely no play. You have pocketing on the stainless steel liners, and so far it's been an easy one. There's Collins Sweet pivot, and you even have barrel standoffs in the inside that gives it some extra side-to-side rigidity. And I kind of saved y'all time. That's just where the ceramic bearings right in there. They're brass casings, and I didn't show all the cleaning process because I'm sure that's not something y'all want to do, and I'm trying to keep this time down a little bit. There's that pivot. I didn't want it to be any longer than it already is. And there's a little shelf I was talking about that the back strap lands on. And whenever you put the knife back together, you may have to play with, tightening up the bolts and when you tighten them up, because you got a lot of moving parts into it. Now, it wasn't that hard. I didn't really find it to be any harder than normal, but I did center my blade for the most part before I put that back strap on, because it's pretty much a functioning knife before you put that back strap on it. The back strap may pull it to one side a little bit, depending on how tight you go with it. So just something to note if you decide to take yours apart, if you have one. So I enjoyed taking this one apart. It wasn't hard. I just wish it would have all been T8, because the outside's all T8. And you don't ever have to take a knife apart. You could always rinse it out with some water, blow it out with some compressed air, drop some lube in there, you should be good to go. This thing is solid. It did get even smoother after I cleaned it up. Perfectly centered. And yeah, I couldn't be happier. That's me putting on that back strap. So I do check it once I tighten this up. I did have it pull to one side a little bit, but I kind of played with the screws a little bit, and it went right back to center. Like I said, it's just going to depend on whether you decide to take yours apart or not. Just know you will have to have a T8 and a T6. Everything's nice and flush. The clip goes on really nicely. It does have a little shelf for whatever side clip you have, for the back strap, and that tightened up just fine. Nothing went off center after I messed with that clip. So yeah, pretty easy one to put back together, and it wasn't bad at all. So that is another thing that'll be in my nitpicks. I do wish that the two screws underneath here were Torx T8. This is the first time I've taken one apart, so that's on me. If we do another run, I will try to get that addressed in that run. Now let's take a look at the lockup. The lockup on mine is sitting at around, I'd say 40% or so. Access to the lock bar, outstanding. You have enough room to easily get your finger in there. And it's hard to see because of the coating right here, but there's a small chamfer right there. It's nice and comfortable. I have no issues whatsoever. And my fingers and hands are beat up, so if it was uncomfortable, I would know it right away. The lockup on this knife is a bank vault. I can't muscle any side to side, any up and down at all. And boy, am I glad to see that. Let's do just some light spine wax. Light my behind. All right, I'm leaving indentions in my table. Whew, love it. Even start knocking some of the stuff over some. Y'all just saw the inside of here, so you know that there's pocketing in there to try to bring down the weight as much as possible. However, you do have this back strap, and then you have this thicker blade, wider blade. But it didn't bring the weight up all that much. It's coming in at 103.6 grams or 3.7 ounces. I've been carrying this one exclusively a lot. The only time this one has ever been kicked out of the pocket is because I had to carry two knives that I had to review that week. But it went right back in the pocket right after that. Now for some quick size comparisons. It's a good bit smaller than the Ontario Rat 1, and it's just a little bit bigger than the Ontario Rat 2. And next, it's smaller than the Spyderco PM2, and it's a little bit longer than the Spyderco Power 3. And lastly, it's a hair shorter than the Hogue Deca, and it's a little bit longer than the QSP Penguin. And as far as nitpicks and complaints, the only things I have is I wish they would bring that plunge all the way back so you have this entire area as sharpening life, something I can address on the second run if we do one. And the last thing, I wish they would have had T8 underneath here as well. That's on me. I didn't take it apart to see that beforehand, but another thing that could be addressed if we do a round two. So, in summary, the Divo Knives Fireball has been a long time coming for me. I can't thank Kevin enough for nudging me in that direction and making this happen for me. I do my testing so I can show you, and you don't have to just take my word on how a knife performs. And I hope you could hear in my voice and see on the actual video that this one absolutely exceeded my expectations. In my opinion, and my opinion only, this is a very well-rounded EDC knife. It's got a very versatile blade that should excel at almost anything you use it for. And my one and only hope is that if you decide to pick up one of these, you use it, enjoy it, and let me know about it, because that would truly make me the happiest person in the world. I would like to thank all the people who've supported me here on this channel. I don't care if you've been here from the beginning or you just got here. I still can't thank you enough. This would not be possible without you guys and girls. Y'all mean more to me than you will ever know. Y'all get me through a lot of rough times, a lot of pain. I love the community that we've built here, and I cannot wait to see what the future has in store for us. I think my next design is going to be an EDC fixed blade, because I know I have a lot of y'all who love the EDC fixed blades as much as I do. And I think I'm just going to collaborate with a company just to get them to make it. And then I may do another folder. I'm not sure. I got a ton of designs. If y'all would like to see that, let me know that down in the comments. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below. I hope every one of y'all is having an absolute amazing day. And remember, keep those blades sharp. Smile more.